Good morning students. Welcome to the next class. In the previous class I had explained you about the separation of solid mixture, and today I am going to explain you the separation of solid liquid mixture. Here different methods we will see: sedimentation cum decantation, filtration, evaporation, crystallization, distillation and centrifugation. First of all, let us see which type of mixture is solid liquid mixture. Such mixtures can be homogeneous or heterogeneous. That is solid liquid mixture. It can be homogeneous as well as heterogeneous. Let us start with the first process, sedimentation cum decantation. The first is sedimentation cum decantation. Let us see what is sedimentation. The settling down of suspended insoluble heavy solid particles in a solid liquid mixture when left undisturbed for some time is called the sedimentation. That means the mixture is left undisturbed for some time. Then what happens? The solid settles at the bottom, that is called the sediment, and the clear water, it is above the sediment, that is called the supernatant liquid. Now it is the first part of this method. Let us see the second part of the method, decantation. It is a process of pouring out of clear liquid without disturbing the sediment. That is called the decantation. What is principle behind it? It is used for the heterogeneous mixture of a solid and a liquid where the solid component is insoluble and heavier than the liquid component. That means the solid component should be insoluble as well as heavier than the liquid. Which type of mixtures can be separated? We can separate a mixture of sand and water, a mixture of soil and water. Let us see in the diagram. Here is the beaker. In the beaker there is a mixture of sand and water. When this mixture is left undisturbed for some time, what happens? Sand settles at the bottom and over it there is a clear liquid. This settled sand is called the sediment and the liquid is the supernatant liquid. It is the first step of this method, sedimentation and decantation. And now let us see the second step. In the second step, we pour the mixture very carefully to the another beaker. We will find that the liquid water is in the another beaker and sand particles are left in the first beaker. So we separated sand and water separately by the method of sedimentation cum decantation. Let us move to the next method. It is the filtration method. What is filtration method? It is the process of separating insoluble solid particles from a solid liquid mixture by passing through a filter. The insoluble solid left on the filter, that is called the residue, while the liquid which passes through the filter is called the filtrate. And which type of common filters we use? We use filter paper, charcoal, layer of sand, glass wool. Out of these, at present we mostly use the filter paper. I am showing you the filter paper and how can we fold it. The filter paper is round in shape. We make it half, that means fold. We fold it at half, again fold it by half, and now we will get the conical shape. And this conical shape filter paper we will use. Let us see what is the principle behind it. This filtration process, it is used for separating the components of solid liquid mixture in which solids are insoluble in liquid. Solids do not dissolve in liquid, that is the heterogeneous mixture. We can separate chalk from the chalk water mixture, clay from the clay water mixture. Let us see in the diagram. In the diagram we have taken chalk and water, and this chalk and water is poured through the funnel in which the filter paper is kept. Chalk and it is insoluble, so it will be left on the filter paper and water will be poured out in the beaker. So this water is filtered, this is called the filtrate, and the solid chalk it is left, this is called the residue. By this method we had separated the chalk from the mixture of chalk and water. Our next process is evaporation. It is the process of converting the liquid into vapor either by exposing to air or by heating. What is the principle behind it? It is used to separate the components of homogeneous solid liquid mixture in which only the solid is recovered. That means two substances are here, but only the solid will be recovered by this process. Which types of substances can be separated by this method? Salt from seawater, we can separate salt from seawater, sugar from sugar water solution. Let us see in the diagram. Here in the diagram we have taken a mixture of salt and water or sugar and water, any type of mixture we can take, and it is kept over the wire gauze so that it does not get heated directly. Now it is heated by Bunsen burner. On heating, the water will be evaporated and the solid particles, either it is salt particle or it is sugar particle, will be left. By this method we separate salt or sugar from their solution. And this process evaporation is very common in our daily life. Our wet cloth dries up by this process. Let us move to the next method. Next method is crystallization. What is crystallization? It is a process in which a supersaturated solution is heated at room temperature, and when very little amount of solvent is left, the solution is cooled down and the crystals of solid are obtained. Here it is a new term, supersaturated solution. So let us see what is supersaturated solution. It is a solution which contains more solute than it can hold. That means there is a capacity for the solution to keep the solute. When it has a limited amount of solid, then it is called saturated. When it has more than limited amount of solute, then it is called supersaturated solution. And the crystals, what are crystals? They are the solid particles which have a definite shape and size and also the luster. For example, the crystals of sugar, the crystals of salt. Let us see the example. Which type of mixtures can be separated? Separation of pure sugar from supersaturated solution of water and sugar. Separation of crystals of copper sulfate from copper sulfate solution. We can see in the diagram. Here it is the china dish. In the china dish there is a solution of copper sulfate, and this is kept over the beaker in which there is the water, and the water is boiled here. Water is boiling here, and by the vapor the china dish is heated in which the copper sulfate solution is kept. When the water will be evaporated, water will evaporate, and a time will come when little amount of solvent will be left, and when it is left for cooling, we will get the crystals of copper sulfate. The blue crystals of copper sulfate is obtained by this method. Let us move to the next method. Our next method is distillation. It is the process of converting a liquid into vapor by heating and quickly cooling the vapor back into liquid. Here we convert the liquid into vapor by heating, and that vapor is quickly cooled and we get the liquid. What is the principle behind it? It is used to separate the components of solid liquid mixture in which both solid and liquids are recovered. We can get the solid as well as the liquid. For example, separation of salt and water from the salt solution, Separation of mixture of iodine and alcohol. Let us see in the diagram. Here is the solution of salt and water. It is kept in the distillation flask which is fitted with the stand. A thermometer is fitted in the distillation flask along with a condenser. In the condenser there are two pipes, actually one side inlet and other side outlet. This is the inlet side and this is the inlet side and this is the outlet side. From here cold water passes over the condenser. Now when the mixture is heated, the water will evaporate. After evaporation, the vapor will pass through the condenser. When the vapor pass through the condenser, it cool down and we get the liquid again, and salt, it is left here. So we separate the salt from the salt water solution by the method of distillation. We can also get the distilled water by this method. Let us move to the next method. Our next method is centrifugation. It is the method of separating solid from liquid on rapidly rotating the centrifuge or the motor or the churner where the mixture is homogeneous. So it is used for the homogeneous mixture in which one of the component is lighter than the other. For example, we can separate cream from milk. It is also used in washing machine, dairies and testing of blood and urine in the laboratory. Let us see with the diagram. In the diagram, we have taken milk in the rapidly rotating motor. Here this milk is before the rotation and this milk is after the rotation. We can see the cream is floating over the milk. As cream is lighter than milk, so it is floating over the milk. By this method we can separate the cream from the milk. So dear students, we have seen how can we separate a solid and a liquid from solid liquid mixture. And here are some work to you. You have to describe an activity to separate sand and a mixture of sand and water and so on. But level diagram are required only for the questions 1, 2, 3 and 4. I hope the things are clear. Thank you. Have a nice day. Have a nice study. If you have any doubt, then you will consult me.